Hey, how's it going, guys? It's Scarecrow, and welcome back to another episode of In Depth. I suppose the series isn't dead because Treyarch keeps adding in new weapons to the game. Despite the fact that Black Ops 3 is 3 years old now, they're still adding weapons to the game, and I mean, you guys have been requesting so many times for me to continue on the series and for me to keep providing these videos, so I'm not going to leave you hanging. Do you guys think I'll leave you hanging? Well, the answer is I'm not going to. So today we're looking at the Dragoon sniper rifle, the most recent weapon added into Black Ops 3, added it on June the 11th, and this is a bit of an odd sniper rifle. It has a few interesting characteristics. One of the first being that the game actually refers to the weapon as the Mosin in the game files, but the weapon looks visually similar and seems to draw inspiration from the L96 from Black Ops 1. So it's a bit of a mix between a few sniper rifles, and there is another defining trait that I'll tell you guys about later on we'll talk about. But first of all, as you guys know, starting off the video today, the most important fact that you guys are here for, of course, is the damage of the weapon, and the damage of the Dragoon is pretty pitiful at a low 80. Now you might be saying to yourself, but Scarecrow, if the damage is 80, I still get one-hit kills with this weapon. What's going on? Are your facts wrong? Have you gone insane? No, the damage on the weapon is in fact 80, but what comes into play and what makes these one-shot kills that you guys are experiencing with the weapons and with all the sniper rifles in the game is, of course, the multipliers that apply to different areas of the body. So, for example, the head of a soldier in-game has an headshot multiplier of ×2, which means the Dragoon has a maximum damage profile of 160 damage. So if you hit someone in the head, it's 160 damage. That is more than enough to kill them, considering the fact that we have 100 health in Black Ops 3. The neck also has a 2x multiplier, and that's the cutoff point. That's where it starts to drop off. We have the mid to upper torso, which has a 1.5 multiplier, which will still, of course, kill you. But below that, below the mid to lower torso is where you're going to start seeing those hit markers. Although, one characteristic of the weapon is that the RSA, the DVSR, the XPR, and the Dragoon all have increased arm multipliers. So if you hit a soldier in the arm, the shoulder, the wrist, or the hand, it will still have a multiplier of 1.5x, which means if you hit a person in the arm, you're still going to kill them with this weapon. It may not feel like it when you're using this weapon, because I know a lot of people have compared this weapon with the RSA and have said that it feels really weak. I'm just going to say the stats aren't exactly backing you up here, guys. You're going to have to aim a little bit higher, because everywhere above the midsection is one hit kill with this weapon, even on the hands, shoulders, arms, and wrists. As for the rate of fire, the Dragoon has a very low rate of fire at 50 rounds per minute, which is bumped up to 53 rounds with rapid fire. So there's nothing too outstanding really here about the rate of fire. In fact, it's quite slow compared to the other sniper rifles in the game. Don't be expecting this to just outshine the Locust or the Dragoon in terms of a fire rate. It has a magazine capacity of 5 rounds, which is bumped up to 7 rounds with extended mags. Not too much of a boost there, but I suppose if you want the extra ammo in a clip, then it could be a handy attachment for you. The reload is where it starts to get a little bit murky. The reload on this gun is unique in the fact that this gun does not have a magazine. This gun is bullet fed, which means every round is individual. So the reload on it is based on each shot. So the way that I come to think of it is that every bullet that's loaded into the chamber is around 1 second roughly. I'm not going to give you guys an exact number, but it's around 1 second. So if you have a default magazine of 5, then it'll take you around 5 seconds to reload it from empty, a little bit more if you have extended mags. And that's one of the frustrating things about this gun, is that you will have to weapon switch this gun to kind of reload cancel, and it's got a really interesting / weird reload mechanic, and I'm not sure whether I like it or not. It looks visually appealing, but at the same time it's also really annoying that you're taking, this 1 second to feed in these bullets, and you can't sprint cancel it. You'll have to weapon switch to actually cancel it, which can be quite frustrating. So that's up to you guys' personal preference whether you actually like it or not. I myself am still a bit undecided on it. It has a sprint out time of 0.3 seconds, which is the same as all of the other sniper rifles in the game, and it has an ADS time of 0.36 seconds, which is the same as the Dragoon and the PO6. And despite how it feels, which I'll go into a little bit later, it actually is faster than the Locust, which I was surprised at. This weapon really did surprise me there. It was not something that I expected to see when I was looking at the stats of this weapon. Moving on to the aesthetic and the look and the sight of the gun. The look of the weapon, it's pretty clean. It looks pretty good. There's nothing too outstanding here. The camos don't really do much for it. I would have hoped to see a little bit more coverage or just a little bit more something from the gun. Like, it looks okay, it looks like a sniper rifle. It's definitely not going to win any awards for looking pretty. It looks like it was constructed in an old woodshed with a few lumps of pine and an old rusty pipe, but I guess that's kind of the look they were going for, is an old rusty looking kind of older sniper rifle. It doesn't do much for me, really, personally, the look of the weapon. But again, that's all personal preference. As for the scope, they were a bit lazy here when it comes to the scope. The scope reticle is actually similar to the XBR, if not exactly the same, which I was a bit disappointed at here. Nothing too fancy. You don't get a nice looking crisp reticle here. You get this glowing red thing, which can be pretty obscure and blurry at times. Again, not my favorite at all. I would have probably preferred a black cross reticle or something like that, which would have actually suited the weapon a little bit better, in my opinion, considering the fact that it looks like an antique. But no, this is what we're stuck with. Moving on to what I think about this weapon. This weapon, in my opinion, wasn't necessary, but really I could say that about the last 5 weapons they've added into the game, really. We didn't really need any of these weapons, and however you look at it, them adding weapons into the game isn't really anything more than trying to make more money on supply drops. They could say that they're doing this for the community and stuff like that, but if they were doing it for the community, they just give us the guns, or at least give us the option to buy the guns. But no, they go into the slot machines that they have called supply drops in this game, and you have to be incredibly lucky to get them. I haven't got this weapon. I haven't played Black Ops 3 in quite some time, and coming back to the game, of course, with the meager supply drops that I did have and the meager credits that I did have, of course I didn't get the weapon. So I had to rely on my friends to kindly allow me to use their accounts to get this weapon and use it and gather a feel for it. And while I was using it, there's no pizzazz about the weapon. Like, there's nothing. It's just another weapon. It's another unnecessary weapon. It looks visually different from the other sniper rifles, but here, I'll spell it out for you. Everything that this weapon does, the SVG does better, the Locust does way better, and the other DLC weapons do better, if not the exact same. The SVG is literally better in every single way except fire rate, and it's a minimal difference. Really it is. So that's what I have to say about the weapon. It looks different, it's a weapon in the game, it's a sniper rifle, and if you're burnt out on using all of the other sniper rifles in the game and you're lucky enough to get this, then you might enjoy your time with it. Other than that, I wouldn't be too upset whether I had it or if I didn't, because this weapon is just another weapon in the long list of weapons that they've added into this game, and it doesn't do enough really to make me want to go, wow, I must have this weapon. My life won't be complete without this weapon. As for a class I'm going to recommend, I'm just going to go with the tried and true setup for me whenever I snipe in this game, which is thermal, fast mags, and extended mags. It does not need rapid fire, unlike some of the other sniper rifles, which is nice to have. Really, you'll do just fine with the thermal, the fast mags, and the rapid fire. I'm not a huge fan of the scope of the weapon, considering that it's not exactly centered on the weapon. It's more of a left-centered scope, if that makes any sense, which means for me, I couldn't quite really get comfortable with it after sniping in the game for so long, relying on the barrel as more of a centering point, and then this one with its weird left scope kind of didn't really do it for me. So I transitioned pretty quickly into the thermal, then it made using the gun a lot more bearable. So if you're struggling with the weapon with all the scopes, wait till you get the thermal before you judge it. I would recommend it. It certainly does get easier from there. Other than that, guys, that is going to wrap it up this video. I just want to say a huge thank you to JB for allowing me to use his account. I really, really appreciate it. I probably will be using his account to use some of the newer weapons, because he does have a few more that I would like to use. I will be covering all the weapons that they've added in recently to Black Ops 3 that I haven't covered already. If you guys haven't seen the rest of this playlist, then feel free, it's always linked down in the description below for you guys to go check out. A huge shout out and thanks to Marble4 for still providing stats of this game, despite the fact that it is aging quite a bit now. It's hard to believe that Black Ops 3 has been out for this long, but it really has been. But yeah, a huge thank you to you, man. You ensure the videos like this can still exist and are made possible, and I'm grateful for that every single time that I do one of these videos. So if you guys do want to check out the in-game stats for yourself, there is the links to the stats that I use down below in the description as well. Other than that, guys, thank you so much for watching, and I shall see you, beautiful people, in the next video.